Shamali Rivera. I'm the executive director here. This show is part of our 2025 Visual Arts Exhibition Series, which features the work of Minnesota artists, both emerging and established, working in a variety of mediums. Our current exhibition is Small Works on Canvas and Paper by Emmy Fuller. Fuller is a self-taught visual artist with a background in graphic design. She paints energetic landscapes, mindscapes, and other forms in the abstract on canvas and paper. Her work is intuitive and depicts movement and sensations experienced through the act of creating art. And she works out of her home studio in Montevideo. For anyone interested in learning more about abstract painting, Maggie is also going to be teaching an abstract painting class here at the Art Center on April 5th from 10:30 to 2, and you can register for that on our website if you're interested in that. Finally, I would like to mention that this activity is made possible in part by a grant from the Southwest Minnesota Arts Council, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. So please join me in welcoming Emmy.
Well, that's the most excitement I've felt in a while. I appreciate you all coming out, and Molly, I appreciate all the work that you do here, because you really, all these regional arts centers do so much to support, especially rural artists, right? Who would ever even know that we're doing anything if it wasn't for this kind of event? And of course, the Southwest Minnesota Regional Arts Council, we love that they support us. And I'm also a 2025 Creative Individuals Grant recipient. And part of a couple of things that I'll be doing this year, apart from painting, is working with a mentor out of Duluth to learn clay sculpture. Very excited about that. I've never done three-dimensional work, and maybe I never will. We'll find out if I can do it or not. Also, I have a 2025 Creative Process online journal as part of that grant. So there's some cards over there that will show you that I am putting out some very short, informal, unedited, raw YouTube videos on my process. And also, for those who would prefer to read, I have narrative on Substack. You can always go to my website, get more information. So before I say anything else, I want to ask, does anybody have any questions after looking at the work?
When you say mixed media, do you have thread or other items that made it more spindly and that those works there?
Which now?
Oh, these black pieces? It looks like there's like thread or some kind of fiber that you inlaid in there, or is that just paint?
Oh, no. No, there is a lot of scratching.
Okay.
But one of the things about abstract painting are layers. You know, when we have the class, I can show you the tools and have you experiment with them and see what they do with paper and on canvas. But the key to building an abstract painting is the layer. And so when you look at these, you might see something metal in here, but it's really not there. It's the reflection from the paint underneath, from the scratching. These are birchwood panels. And I was explaining, I think it was from Ollie, that I love what happens with the texture on these and how it reflects the color back to you, but I can't stand working on it because it's hollow and it's like, I cannot do it. So there will be no more of that. Anything else? Anything stand out to you that you would like to talk about?
I only made it halfway through, so I only made it halfway through, so I probably have more questions. But
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be here for a little bit, so.
What drew you to abstract painting?
Oh, that's a great question. So I come out of a graphic design art director background. And for any of you who have that background, you know that you work generally with corporate clients. And they dictate what you create. So I remember I worked for a design firm that did a lot of financial products. And we would always give these clients 3 choices for these brochure ideas. And we always had one to throw away. And that was always the one they took. So you had to work with the least of your work to give them what they wanted. When I retired early at 63, my job went away, and I begged my husband, please keep working, because I want to write that novel, right? And I want to get back to painting. But mostly I did more traditional and illustrative styles. And a few years ago, I received a grant from the Southwest Minnesota Arts Council for very practical things, because I'm very practical. You wouldn't know it, but it's true. And I thought, okay, I need a website, I need these very specific things. And I explained in my grant proposal that I was self-taught. And one of the panelists who reviewed the grant made a comment that they wished that I had asked for money for a class. And it turned out that the person I was working with on the website we just weren't good working partners. And so I found somebody else who was a lot less, and I said, well, I have this much money left over, can I take a class? And they said, absolutely, please do. So I found a class that was water media, and it was called Abstracting Nature. I did not notice the word abstracting. I noticed the nature and how it was a little more fluid, and I thought, oh, this is really going to help my watercolor move on. Because I tended to move that way, but then I always bring myself back, because who's going to want to see that? So I took the class, and this woman who taught it was amazing. And I did all the exercises, and I could produce nothing. I could not, I can't even describe to you how bad it was. And I don't mean that in terms of anything other than it was just really bad. There was no movement, there was no energy, there was no depth, there was no nothing. It was just blah, blah, blah. But I was intrigued, so yay YouTube. I love YouTube. If you don't explore YouTube for the things that you want to learn about, I urge you to do it. So I found I found abstract painters, and I just watched and watched, and there was one in particular from the UK, Louise Fletcher is her name, and she usually does a free class every year. It's like a week long. And I took her class, and it was so frustrating. I did the first exercise, I couldn't get anywhere, and then there was everybody got together online, and I didn't like the work that I was seeing. And then the second exercise, I couldn't do it. The third exercise, I couldn't do it. On the fourth exercise, the barn door opened up, and all the critters went running out in the field, and here is what happened. I've been doing this ever since. So when I talk to people about creating in the abstract, I talk about don't do it from your head. And that is the hardest thing for people to break through, right? We just talked about that. Because in the first video that I did for this online journal, I talk about how we present ourselves in the world according to how we think everyone else will be accepting. So we edit our words, we edit our thinking, we edit our emotions, we edit everything. You know, people are constantly taking selfies because they don't even know how to see themselves anymore, right? You don't know. There's no ground. As an intuitive person, I found in abstract painting that I am a storyteller first. I always have been. I write, and I'm a storyteller. So everything I do has a story to it. But it was coming from the place that matters. It's coming from the place which is everything that I experience and live all the time. It's not how I have edited all the information in my head. And so I encourage people, please join me for a class, follow the YouTube, find somebody else. Just let yourself do this, because you don't even realize how contained you are until that story comes out, but it's not going to happen overnight. So, yeah, next. Yeah, okay.
Have you found any similarities between writing and painting, and can you talk about that a little more?
Yes, so the first book I wrote was a novel, and I discovered that it's the same thing. A pretty sentence does not a novel make. If there's no heart and soul in that book, nobody cares. And there's a lot of bad writing out there, but there aren't any bad stories, right? They just don't know how to be told. So it was about 7 years in the making, and the book, it's very intense. It's called Saving the Ghost. It's a novel about family betrayal, just layers and layers. It's really, there's a lot going on. And it took me 7 years taking classes, listening to people, learning how to do it, same thing, until I finally had an instructor who matched how I function. And the way I say it is writing, at least serious writing, is like a series of holographs. It's layers within layers within layers within layers until the story comes out. It's the same thing, comes from the same place. Now I'm writing some cozy mysteries, and of course it doesn't come from the same place because it's just light. It's not intended to challenge. But I'm also working on a new book called All the Places by the Ocean. And I'm writing a series of paintings that go along with the poems that have come from the ethers, I swear. I mean, they're knock your socks off poems that also want to bring these paintings forward. So it is the same thing. It's the same, I like to say it's the same spirit. Let yourself have that story. Yeah? Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? No? Are we done? Yes.
I was really captivated just now by the way you described that process of a pre-barn doors opening. What, if you don't mind me asking, as just another person who's trying to open the barn doors myself, what has life like been for you outside of just making, I'm not trying to put it on a place, but like in general, how has it changed your whole life to open into that way of operating?
Well, I will say, honestly, it is not, because this is who I am.
Yeah.
But I didn't allow it to come out in any way that I thought anybody should see, right? I'm not ashamed or cautious about the work now, because I understand that what I do is not for everybody. It's like not every person is for everybody. But because I didn't try to open the barn doors, they opened. And that's because I just kept absorbing what these people were showing and telling and what I was inspired about it. And again, it was with learning to write the novel, I had to learn to not take everything down to a bullet point, right? Because when you're writing copy for clients, it's bullet point, sell the product, get out. This is the opposite of that. This is engage with me in this space where we all live, but we don't recognize. So, and I've always known that, I just didn't know how to apply it externally. Because nobody wanted to hear, I start talking, people glaze right over. It's like, what is she talking about? Because they don't know how to get in there. So don't try, just do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, go watch YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It'll change your life. And you just came in, you haven't had a chance to see anything. Do you have any questions about abstract painting off the top of your head? No? Okay. No? Okay. Anything else? Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are your small ones there, the small ones that are behind you, are
Yeah.
they part of larger canvases or are they? two
No, I have discovered that I can't duplicate my work. So if I did a small thing, it's like, okay, for example, these over here and those little ones over there, they're all water studies because of this book that I'm doing.
Okay.
You will not see any of that in the paintings because I can't, every time I start something, it's a new thing. Those back there are the closest thing I've had to a theme, But had I done them in a small sketch form, like these are sketches, you wouldn't be seeing those paintings up there. I can't do it. You know, people say, well, you copied so-and-so's work. I don't even know how you could do that.
No, but I meant just something that I had, one time I had a smaller picture.
Yeah.
And found it was part of actually, like, they had recopied their, you know, a print of part of the.
Oh, a section.
bigger one, yes.
Okay.
So these are just.
They're just what they are.
unto themselves.
Yes. Yep, and the one thing about my art too is I don't make prints. It's just
It's just that.
here. So it's always a one of a kind.
One out of one.
Yeah, and there are people who can teach you how to scale your work. The first time I created some abstract art, you never know who's looking, right? So I'm in Montevideo, and it was like, oh, this stuff looks good, this is okay. So I put together an article for the local paper and sent it off to Jessica, and she published it, and they were like these little 5x7s or something on the front page. There was a couple who was visiting family from Texas who both saw the paper independently and said, we have got to meet this artist. They're collectors of my work. It's so funny because it's like, and she came in and she said, okay, so we just have this new house and we've got these really large walls and we would like, and I said, no. I said, lady, I don't know if this will scale. And so it was a matter of waiting. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know what I had. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, but now I know I could go big if I had the energy and the space. I could just go. Because when those barn doors are open, nobody's going back in. I know.
That's so cool. It's like your soul touches your.
It really is.
Inner being, and you finally can be who you are.
Yes.
You know,
A
that's
friend of mine recently had a conversation about this book I'm doing, All the Places by the Ocean. I'd read her the poem, and she had a dream about the ocean that was parallel to something I had written in a sci-fi book that I started that I haven't finished. And she referred to the ocean as the collective soul. And that's really what I feel this is about. And if we could all just dip our toe in a little bit, we could calm down and really have talk about a different life together. If we recognize that we really are in the same space. We're just individually interesting, right? No two snowflakes, but they all come out of water. Anything else? What?
Thank you
No.
for that.
Are we done?
I think that's a good place to end.
Okay, so thank you so much. I am a talker, so I could have done this all night. I so appreciate y'all coming here, and please look at the work. Do not feel shy about purchasing pieces because we are struggling out there in the prairie. So thank you again, and thank you for doing this.